Humanity's place in the Confederation. When humanity finally breached the boundaries of its solar system and joined the Galactic Confederation, the rest of the galaxy viewed the newcomers with skepticism. The Confederation was ancient, its roots stretching back millennia. It was an institution built on rules, bureaucracy, and a delicate balance of power among its member species. Each species, upon joining, was required to choose an epithet that reflected their nature, an old tradition that carried immense weight. The brachiating flow, known for their towering cities that seemed to defy gravity, took the title Those Who Climb. The staunch Modor, whose nomadic fleets drifted through the stars like armored fortresses, became Those Who Wander in Strength. And then there were the Rid, a telepathic hive mind who adopted the fitting name, Those Who Are One. So when humanity was asked to choose its name, the expectation was that they would select something fitting, something grand or noble to reflect their place in the cosmos. But instead, the human representatives shocked everyone. They chose the name Those Who Run. The galaxy reacted with disbelief and confusion. What kind of race would identify itself by running? Running implied cowardice, submission, fleeing from battle. It was the antithesis of everything that the great species of the Confederation valued: courage, strength, and dominance. Whispers of ridicule echoed through the halls of the Galactic Senate. Those Who Run, a title that seemed to admit fear. But the humans remained silent, not bothered by the gossip. They knew something the others didn't. The Confederation, despite its ancient and proud history, had become complacent. Its bureaucratic systems were designed to preserve the status quo with little room for change. Diplomacy and trade agreements were the tools of power, and violence was discouraged, though it lingered beneath the surface. Each species, with its vast fleets and sophisticated technology, was wary of provoking another. Conflicts were rare but brutal when they occurred. The galaxy, in many ways, was a powder keg waiting for a spark. Humanity's rapid rise to prominence had caught the Confederation off guard. While many older species took millennia to evolve and establish their dominance, humans had gone from barely leaving their planet to interstellar travel in a blink of an eye. Their aggressive ingenuity and fierce adaptability were unmatched, but few outside of Earth truly understood what drove them. As the cycles passed, it became clear that the humans were not weak. The name Those Who Run was not a declaration of cowardice, but a statement of strategy. The humans did not charge headfirst into danger. They observed, they learned, and when the time came, they acted with precision and purpose. They were patient, willing to wait until the perfect moment to strike. One incident, however, would change everything and reveal the truth behind their name. The spark of conflict. The event that would change the perception of humanity came suddenly, as most conflicts do. It began with a diplomatic mission to the edge of Confederation space, near the borders of the Zarthal Dominion, a species known for their strict hierarchical society and ruthless territorial expansion. Despite being members of the Confederation, the Zarthal had little regard for races they deemed inferior. To them, humanity was just another upstart species, unworthy of respect. A small human colony had been established on the planet Arden 9, a resource-rich world that humanity had claimed during their expansion. The colony was peaceful, focused on scientific research and trade, but it was close to Zarthal space, too close for the Dominion's comfort. Tensions simmered for years, with the Zarthal making occasional demands that the humans leave Arden 9. The Confederation tried to mediate, but the Zarthal grew more aggressive. The final straw came when a human child, the daughter of the colony's governor, was killed during a warning raid by a Zarthal warship. It was meant to scare the humans into submission, a show of force to remind them who ruled the stars. Instead, it awoke something ancient within humanity. The news of the child's death spread quickly across human colonies and back to Earth. It was not just a diplomatic incident, it was a direct attack on their people, on the innocent. The galaxy watched, expecting the humans to protest, to seek justice through the bureaucratic channels of the Confederation. After all, that was how such matters were handled, slowly, carefully, ensuring no major powers were provoked. But the humans didn't wait. Within days of the incident, a message was sent to the Confederation Senate. It was brief, cold, and without any room for interpretation. Earth's ancient war fleet is being reactivated. The Confederation, still reeling from the attack, was thrown into a frenzy. Humanity had long been known for its resourcefulness, but few outside of their inner circle knew of the fleet they had kept hidden for centuries. Built in the early days of their interstellar travel, these ships were relics of a bygone era, a time when Earth was embroiled in conflicts with other fledgling spacefaring species. The fleet had been mothballed, left to gather dust as humanity embraced diplomacy and trade. Now it was rising again, unleashing the fleet. As the first human warships broke free of their deep space vaults, dormant for centuries, the galaxy held its collective breath. The Arden 9 incident, once seen as an isolated tragedy, had ignited something far more dangerous. A retaliatory force unlike anything the Confederation had ever witnessed. Rumors spread like wildfire. The name Those Who Run was taking on a new and terrifying meaning, one that sent shockwaves through the species who had once mocked humanity's decision to adopt such a title. They were about to understand it in full. The war fleet that Earth had quietly maintained in reserve was a relic from a time when humans fought not just for survival, but for dominance. It had been constructed in the aftermath of humanity's first interstellar wars, conflicts long before they entered the political theater of the Confederation. Back then, Earth had faced constant threats from hostile alien species in nearby systems. To survive, they built ships that were not elegant or sleek like those of the galactic powers. Instead, they were built to withstand and deliver punishment. Heavily armored, bristling with weapons, and powered by engines that were designed for relentless pursuit. These vessels were once the pride of Earth's military, and while newer ships had been developed, humanity had never fully decommissioned its oldest fleet. There was an understanding, deep within their cultural memory, that one day they might need them again. That day had come. Admiral Sarenlock stood aboard the command deck of the flagship, the ISV Ironclad, overseeing the fleet's mobilization. The ships moved with a slow, deliberate grace, their massive forms casting long shadows across the void. Admiral Locke was a veteran of Earth's military, known for her strategic mind and calm demeanor under pressure. She knew that this mission wasn't just about revenge. It was about sending a message to the entire Confederation. The loss of the human child on Arden 9 had awakened something primal in humanity, but it was Admiral Locke's responsibility to channel that fury into action. This wasn't an out-of-control retaliation. It was a calculated strike. The Zarthal Dominion, arrogant and territorial, had underestimated the humans. Now they would see the consequences of such an oversight. The fleet's approach to Arden 9 was swift and efficient. Word of the fleet's mobilization had reached the Confederation, and while most species hesitated, unsure how to respond, the Zarthal doubled down. They believed themselves untouchable. After all, they had warships patrolling their borders, advanced military technology, and centuries of combat experience. To the Zarthal, the humans were little more than upstart newcomers who didn't fully understand the political landscape of the galaxy. But they were wrong. As the human fleet came out of warp on the edge of Arden 9's system, they were greeted by a Zarthal blockade. 10 warships stood guard, arranged in a tight formation around the planet's orbit, their weapons primed and ready. The Zarthal captain in charge of the blockade opened a communication channel, his voice dripping with condescension. "Turn back, humans," he sneered. "This planet is now under Zarthal protection. Any act of aggression will be met with swift destruction." Admiral Locke listened calmly. Her face remained impassive as she glanced at the tactical display on the screen. The Zarthal ships were formidable, but they lacked the one thing humanity had perfected over generations: ruthless precision in the face of overwhelming odds. "You have one chance," Locke responded coldly. "Withdraw your forces from Arden 9, or we will engage." The Zarthal captain laughed, a deep guttural sound. "You dare threaten us? Your fleet is nothing but a relic of a forgotten era. You cannot stand against the might of the Dominion." Locke cut the transmission. The time for diplomacy was over. "All ships, prepare to engage," she ordered. "Target their lead vessel and fire at will." The silence of space was broken by the sudden eruption of light and energy. The human fleet moved as one, their weapon systems firing in coordinated strikes. Missiles, plasma cannons, and railguns unleashed a storm of destruction on the Zarthal ships. The lead Zarthal vessel, the Vakarash, was the first to be hit. The impact of the human railgun rounds tore through its shields and armor like paper, crippling its engines in seconds. The Zarthal, stunned by the sheer firepower of the human ships, scrambled to return fire. Their lasers cut through the darkness, striking the human fleet with devastating precision. But to their horror, the human ships didn't falter. Where Zarthal warships relied on advanced shielding technology to deflect incoming attacks, the human vessels were built with layers of reinforced armor, designed to absorb damage and keep fighting. The ironclad surged forward, its massive hull cutting through the debris of the fallen Zarthal ship. Admiral Locke watched the tactical display as her fleet advanced relentlessly, picking off the Zarthal warships one by one. The Zarthal captain, now panicked, sent out a distress call to his superiors, but it was too late. The human fleet had already breached their defenses. In a matter of minutes, the Zarthal blockade was in ruins. The once imposing warships were now shattered hulks drifting aimlessly in space. Only 2 Zarthal ships remained, both heavily damaged and unable to escape. Admiral Locke opened a communication channel to the surviving Zarthal captain. "Surrender," she commanded, her voice cold and unwavering. The Zarthal captain, his pride shattered along with his fleet, hesitated. He knew that if he surrendered, he would face humiliation and disgrace in the eyes of the Dominion. But he also knew that if he refused, his crew would die. We surrender," he muttered, his voice barely above a whisper. Locke nodded. "You made the right choice. Stand down and await further instructions." The transmission ended, and the battlefield fell silent once more. As news of the battle spread across the Confederation, shock and disbelief rippled through the ranks of its member species. The humans had not only engaged the Zarthal in open combat, but they had obliterated a seasoned fleet in mere minutes. The Confederation had always believed that humanity was cautious, slow to anger, and diplomatic to a fault. But now they were confronted with a new reality, one in which humanity was capable of swift and devastating retaliation. Back on Earth, the response was one of grim satisfaction. The loss of the child on Arden 9 had been avenged, but the cost was high. Humanity had shown its strength, but in doing so, they had also revealed their capacity for violence on a scale that few had anticipated. The Confederation, for all its posturing and bureaucracy, could no longer ignore the humans. They were no longer just those who run. They were a force to be reckoned with, a species that ran toward danger when provoked, not away from it. The Zarthal Dominion, humiliated and weakened, began to retreat from their aggressive stance, wary of provoking humanity any further. But the damage was done. The balance of power within the Confederation had shifted, and humanity, once seen as a mere newcomer to the galactic stage, was now firmly established as a major player. Admiral Locke stood on the bridge of the ironclad, looking out at the wreckage of the Zarthal fleet. She knew that this victory, while decisive, was only the beginning. The Confederation would react, and humanity's place among the stars would never be the same. But for now, they had sent a clear message: the aftermath and the gathering storm. In the wake of their decisive victory over the Zarthal Dominion, humanity's status within the Confederation had irrevocably changed. The remnants of the Zarthal blockade drifted through space, a grim testament to the power and resolve of the human fleet. As the debris settled, the Confederation's response began to take shape, and the galaxy braced itself for the implications of humanity's newfound strength. Reactions across the Confederation. The Confederation Council convened an emergency session to address the fallout from the recent conflict. Representatives from various species, each with their own agendas and concerns, gathered in the grand chamber of the council. The room buzzed with tension as delegates debated the implications of humanity's actions. Chancellor Tyler, a long-serving member of the council, opened the session. The recent confrontation between the humans and the Zarthal has demonstrated a level of aggression that we have not previously associated with humanity. We must decide how to respond to this new reality. Ambassador Nayla of the Carians, a species known for their diplomatic finesse, spoke next. Humanity's actions have shaken the balance of power. The Zarthal were not a minor threat. They were a significant player in the galactic hierarchy. We must tread carefully to avoid escalating the situation further. Counselor Dren of the Rix species, a race known for their militaristic tendencies, was less diplomatic. The Zarthal were defeated decisively. This shows that humanity is not just a new player, but a formidable one. We should consider integrating them into our strategic planning and alliances. The council debated heatedly, their discussions punctuated by the occasional outburst. It was clear that humanity's actions had made waves, and the ramifications would be felt throughout the galaxy. The consensus among the council was to adopt a cautious approach, seeking to understand the full extent of humanity's capabilities and intentions before making any further moves. Humanity's reflection. Back on Earth, the mood was a mix of triumph and apprehension. The victory over the Zarthal had been celebrated as a significant achievement, but there was also a sense of unease about what lay ahead. Admiral Sarenlok and her fleet returned to Earth, where they were met with a hero's welcome. Yet beneath the surface, there was a palpable tension. In a debriefing with top military officials, Admiral Locke addressed the concerns of her superiors. The Zarthal were only the beginning. The Confederation will respond, and we must be prepared for whatever comes next. Our victory has put us on the map, but it has also made us a target. The military brass nodded in agreement. General Harris, one of the senior officers, added, "We need to consolidate our position, strengthen our alliances, and prepare for potential retaliation." The Confederation is not known for its leniency. The rise of the coalition. Amidst the political maneuvering and military preparations, a new coalition began to form within the Confederation. Several species, recognizing the potential threat of a united humanity, sought to ally with Earth to counterbalance the growing power. The Franter Syndicate, a group of independent systems with a vested interest in maintaining stability, extended an olive branch to Earth. Ambassador Voss, a representative of the Franter Syndicate, met with President Alina Markov of the United Earth Government. Your recent actions have shown that humanity is not to be underestimated. We wish to form an alliance, a coalition to ensure that the balance of power remains intact. Together, we can maintain stability and prevent any one faction from gaining too much influence. President Markov, aware of the significance of this offer, responded cautiously. We appreciate the gesture. Humanity is committed to peace and cooperation, but we also recognize the need for security. An alliance could be beneficial, but it must be built on mutual respect and clear objectives. The Zarthal's retaliation. The Zarthal Dominion, reeling from their defeat, was not prepared to accept their loss quietly. The Dominion's leadership, incensed by the humiliation, began to regroup and plan their retaliation. High-ranking Zarthal officials convened in secret, plotting their next move. Lord Velikar, a prominent Zarthal warlord, was at the center of the retaliation effort. Humanity's arrogance has cost us dearly. We cannot let this insult go unanswered. We will rebuild our forces, fortify our defenses, and seek out allies who share our resentment. The humans will learn that their victory was but a temporary reprieve. The Zarthal began to gather support from other disgruntled factions within the Confederation. The Zinthar, a warrior race known for their fierce combat skills, were among the first to join the Zarthal in their quest for vengeance. The galaxy, once a relatively stable place, was now a powder keg of conflicting interests and simmering tensions. The human response. On Earth, the news of the Zarthal's retaliation and the formation of new coalitions reached the government and military leaders. The response was swift and decisive. The United Earth government ramped up its military preparedness, fortifying its defenses and strengthening its alliances with the newly formed coalition. President Markov addressed the nation and the galaxy at large. We have shown that humanity is a force to be reckoned with. We seek peace and cooperation, but we are prepared to defend ourselves against any who would threaten our safety. Our recent victory was not the end, but the beginning of a new chapter in our history. We will face whatever challenges come our way with determination and unity. As tensions mounted, the stage was set for a new phase in the galactic conflict. Humanity had proven its strength, but it had also stirred the pot of interstellar politics. The Confederation, once a coalition of uneasy peace, was now a battleground of shifting alliances and rising animosities. The galaxy watched with bated breath as the next chapter of this unfolding drama began. Humanity had demonstrated its capability and resolve, but the true test lay ahead. Would the coalition hold firm, or would the forces of discord and retribution unravel the fragile peace? The answers would come in the days to follow, as the galaxy braced itself for the inevitable clash of wills. In the midst of this storm, one thing was clear. Humanity's role in the galaxy was forever changed. As the Confederation's representatives pondered their next move, the echoes of "those who run" reverberated through the corridors of power, a reminder that humanity was no longer a passive participant, but an active player in the cosmic arena. The crossroads of destiny. With tensions high and allegiances shifting, the galaxy found itself at a critical juncture. Humanity, now a recognized power in the Confederation, faced the dual challenge of defending its newfound position and navigating the complex web of interstellar politics. As the factions prepared for their next moves, the stage was set for a dramatic confrontation that would test the limits of diplomacy and resolve. The diplomacy of desperation. In the heart of the Confederation's capital, the Council convened once more. The recent developments had stirred a sense of urgency among the representatives. The once discussed possibility of an interstellar conflict was now a tangible reality, and the need for a diplomatic resolution was more pressing than ever. Chancellor Tyler, visibly worn from the ongoing debates, called for order in the chamber. We are at a crossroads. The recent actions of humanity and the response of the Zarthal have brought us to the brink of a larger conflict. We must seek a solution that avoids open warfare and addresses the grievances of all parties involved. Ambassador Nayla of the Carians, known for her diplomatic acumen, proposed a summit. An interstellar summit could provide a platform for all affected parties to voice their concerns and negotiate terms. It would be a chance to address misunderstandings and find common ground. The suggestion was met with cautious optimism. Despite the friction between the factions, the possibility of dialogue offered a glimmer of hope. Preparations for the summit began with representatives from the Human Coalition, the Zarthal Dominion, and other key players being invited to participate. Humanity's internal struggles. Back on Earth, the atmosphere was a mixture of determination and anxiety. The United Earth government, while publicly confident, faced internal pressures. The military leaders and government officials were acutely aware of the stakes involved and the potential for escalation. General Harris, a key military strategist, convened a meeting with Admiral Saren Locke and other senior officers. The summit is an opportunity, but it's also a risk. We must be prepared for any eventuality. While we seek a peaceful resolution, we must ensure that our defenses are robust enough to withstand any possible aggression. Admiral Locke agreed. We cannot afford to underestimate the Zarthal or any other potential adversaries. Our recent victory was significant, but it has also drawn attention. We need to balance our diplomatic efforts with a strong defensive posture. In parallel, President Alina Markov took to the public stage to rally support. Her address was a blend of optimism and resolve. We are standing at a pivotal moment in our history. Our actions have shown that humanity is a force to be reckoned with. As we enter these negotiations, let us do so with the knowledge that we stand united and prepared to defend our future. The summit begins. The summit took place on a neutral space station orbiting a remote planet. The station was designed to accommodate the diverse needs of the Confederation species, featuring areas for formal discussions, cultural exchanges, and informal negotiations. The opening ceremony was attended by high-profile representatives from each faction. President Markov led the human delegation, while Lord Velikar represented the Zarthal Dominion. Other key players included Ambassador Voss of the Franter Syndicate and Councillor Dran of the Rix. The diverse assembly reflected the complexity of the situation. Chancellor Tyler opened the summit with a speech that emphasized the need for dialogue and mutual respect. We are here to address the issues that have brought us to this point. Our goal is to find a path forward that ensures stability and respects the interests of all parties involved. Let us engage in these discussions with a spirit of cooperation and understanding. The initial negotiations were marked by a mix of formalities and underlying tensions. The human delegation, led by President Markov and supported by diplomatic experts, made a case for the legitimacy of their actions and the need for a stable peace. President Markov presented a detailed account of humanity's motivations and objectives. Our actions were driven by a need to secure our position and protect our interests. We seek a peaceful coexistence with all members of the Confederation. We are committed to contributing to the stability and prosperity of our shared galaxy. Lord Velikar of the Zarthal Dominion, however, was less receptive. The humiliation we suffered cannot be easily forgotten. We require assurances that humanity will not pose a future threat to our interests. The wounds of defeat are still fresh, and trust will take time to rebuild. The discussions were punctuated by moments of heated debate and strategic maneuvering. Ambassador Nayla of the Carians worked tirelessly to mediate between the factions, attempting to bridge the gaps and find areas of compromise. Ambassador Nayla proposed a series of confidence-building measures, including joint security patrols and cultural exchanges, to ease tensions and foster trust. By working together on shared initiatives, we can build the foundation for a more stable relationship and demonstrate our commitment to peace. The emergence of new alliances. As the summit progressed, the human delegation found unexpected support from the Franter Syndicate. Ambassador Voss, a key ally, emphasized the importance of balancing power and fostering cooperation. The Franter Syndicate stands with humanity in this effort. We believe that a cooperative approach is essential for maintaining peace and stability in the galaxy. The Franter Syndicate's support helped to sway some of the more skeptical representatives. The discussions began to shift towards practical agreements and joint initiatives. The human delegation worked to solidify these alliances, recognizing that the strength of their position depended on the support of key allies. Despite the progress, the summit was far from smooth. The Zarthal Dominion remained wary, and the specter of conflict loomed over the negotiations. The presence of other disgruntled factions, such as the Zinthar, added to the complexity of the situation. Lord Velikar continued to voice concerns and demands, seeking assurances that humanity's newfound power would not be used against the Dominion or its allies. The galaxy must understand that the balance of power is delicate. We demand clear guarantees and safeguards to prevent any future aggression. A fragile peace. As the summit drew to a close, the participants reached a tentative agreement. The accord included a series of measures aimed at reducing tensions and fostering cooperation. These measures included joint security arrangements, regular diplomatic meetings, and cultural exchanges designed to build mutual understanding. Chancellor Tyler summarized the agreement. We have made significant strides towards peace. While the road ahead may be challenging, the agreements we have reached provide a foundation for cooperation and stability. It is up to each of us to uphold these commitments and work towards a more harmonious future. President Markov addressed the Assembly, reaffirming humanity's commitment to peace. This summit represents a new chapter in our relations with the Confederation. We have shown that humanity is a force for good and a partner in maintaining stability. We will honor our commitments and work towards a future where all species can coexist in harmony. The road ahead. As the delegates departed, the galaxy was left to ponder the implications of the summit. The agreements reached were a significant step towards peace, but the underlying tensions and unresolved issues remained. Humanity's role in the galaxy had been solidified, but the challenges of maintaining peace and building alliances were just beginning. The new alliances formed at the summit would be tested in the days to come, and the delicate balance of power would continue to shape the future of interstellar relations. In the wake of the summit, the galaxy watched with anticipation as humanity navigated the complex landscape of diplomacy and conflict. The story of those who run was far from over, and the path ahead would be marked by both opportunities and challenges. As the dust settled, one thing was clear. Humanity's journey was far from complete, and its impact on the galaxy was only beginning to unfold. The aftermath of the summit left the galaxy in a state of tentative equilibrium. The agreements reached were a significant achievement, but the underlying issues and unresolved tensions cast long shadows over the newly established peace. As the galaxy adjusted to this fragile stability, new challenges emerged, threatening to unravel the hard-won progress. The threat of insurrection. In the fringes of the Confederation, unrest brewed among various factions dissatisfied with the outcomes of the summit. The Zinthar, a militant and reclusive species, remained particularly aggrieved. Their isolationist policies had kept them at the margins of galactic politics, but the summit's focus on cooperative security had stirred their anger. High Commander Salar, leader of the Zinthar, issued a series of provocative statements condemning the summit's agreements. The so-called peace is but a facade. The true nature of humanity and its allies will soon be revealed. The Zinthar will not be cowed by empty promises and false assurances. The Zinthar's rhetoric stirred unrest among their followers and created an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty. Intelligence reports suggested that they were mobilizing forces and preparing for acts of sabotage against key Confederation installations. The Confederation Council, alarmed by these developments, convened an emergency session. Chancellor Tyler addressed the gathered representatives. The recent threats from the Zinthar demand our immediate attention. We must act swiftly to address this emerging threat while continuing to uphold the agreements made during the summit. Humanity's dilemma. On Earth, the situation was no less tense. The United Earth government faced pressure from both within and outside its borders. The recent diplomatic efforts had bolstered humanity's standing, but the potential for renewed conflict posed a significant challenge. President Alina Markov faced mounting scrutiny from political opponents and the public. Our efforts at the summit were crucial, but the threat from the Zinthar and other factions cannot be ignored. We need to ensure that our defenses are capable of handling any potential threats and that our diplomatic channels remain open. In response, the Earth Defense Forces, EDF, began preparations for a potential escalation. General Harris and Admiral Siren Locke worked closely to fortify defensive positions and enhance surveillance capabilities. The EDS strategy included increased patrols along key trade routes and the deployment of advanced reconnaissance units. General Harris emphasized the need for readiness. We must strike a balance between diplomacy and defense. Our recent victories have made us a target for those who seek to disrupt the peace. We need to be prepared for any eventuality while remaining committed to our diplomatic efforts. The unseen hand. As the Confederation grappled with these challenges, an unforeseen force began to emerge from the shadows. The Vorton Collective, a clandestine network of mercenaries and rogue elements, began to make its presence felt. Operating behind the scenes, the Vorton Collective sought to exploit the instability for their own gain. Agent Kira, a seasoned operative of the Vorton Collective, orchestrated a series of covert operations aimed at undermining the peace process. Her network infiltrated key infrastructure and leaked sensitive information to sow discord among the factions. Agent Kira communicated with her superiors. The time is ripe. The Zinthar's dissatisfaction and the instability in the Confederation provide an opportunity to further our agenda. We must act decisively to exploit these vulnerabilities and increase our influence. The Vorton Collective's activities added a layer of complexity to the already volatile situation. Their manipulation of information and covert sabotage efforts further strained the already fragile relations between the Confederation's members. The human response. In response to these developments, the human delegation undertook a series of countermeasures. President Markov and Ambassador Naila intensified their diplomatic outreach, seeking to reassure the Confederation's members and maintain the momentum of the summit's agreements. President Markov emphasized transparency and cooperation. We must remain vigilant and united in the face of these threats. Humanity's commitment to peace and stability is unwavering. We will work closely with our allies to address these challenges and ensure that our agreements are upheld. Ambassador Naila spearheaded efforts to strengthen alliances and enhance intelligence sharing among the Confederation's members. By increasing our cooperation and intelligence sharing, we can better counter the efforts of those seeking to undermine our progress. We must stand together against those who seek to sow discord. Despite these efforts, the threat of sabotage and misinformation continued to loom large. The Confederation's leadership faced an uphill battle in maintaining stability and preventing the erosion of trust between the factions. A new alliance forms. Amidst the turmoil, a new alliance began to take shape. The Lorien Pact, a coalition of independent systems and fringe worlds, offered to support the Confederation in its efforts to maintain peace. The Lorien Pact's members, previously unaligned and wary of the central authority, saw an opportunity to assert their influence and contribute to the stability of the galaxy. Lord Alaran, the representative of the Lorien Pact, addressed the Confederation Council. The Lorien Pact stands ready to assist in maintaining peace and security. We have the resources and determination to contribute to the stability of the galaxy and support our allies in this crucial time. The Lorien Pact's offer was met with a mixture of relief and skepticism. The new alliance promised additional resources and strategic advantages, but its intentions and reliability were still subjects of debate. Chancellor Tyler welcomed the support. The addition of the Lorien Pact to our coalition is a significant development. Their resources and commitment will bolster our efforts to address the threats facing the Confederation. However, we must remain vigilant and ensure that all parties uphold their commitments. The path forward. As the galaxy continued to navigate this turbulent period, the challenges of maintaining peace and stability remained paramount. The Confederation faced internal and external threats, and the efforts to address these challenges required a delicate balance of diplomacy, defense, and strategic alliances. Humanity's role in the galaxy was evolving, and the impact of recent events would shape the future of interstellar relations. The story of those who run was unfolding with each new development, and the path ahead was fraught with both opportunities and risks. The next chapter in this saga would reveal how the Confederation and its members, including humanity, would confront the emerging threats and navigate the complex landscape of galactic politics. The stakes were high, and the future of the galaxy hung in the balance as the players continued to maneuver for advantage. The journey of those who run was far from over, and the unfolding drama promised to test the resilience and ingenuity of all involved. The galaxy watched with bated breath as the story continued to unfold, shaping the destiny of its inhabitants and the future of interstellar peace. The final confrontation. The galaxy was on edge as the climax of the unfolding drama approached. The Confederation's efforts to maintain peace were increasingly strained by the actions of the Zinthar and the covert manipulations of the Vorten Collective. The imminent threat of conflict loomed large, and the stage was set for a final, decisive confrontation. The Zinthar's ultimatum. The Zinthar, feeling increasingly cornered and emboldened by their grievances, issued an ultimatum to the Confederation. Their High Commander, Xalar, declared a state of war, demanding immediate cessation of all diplomatic and military engagements perceived as threats to their sovereignty. High Commander Xalar addressed the galaxy with a chilling message. The time for diplomacy is over. The Confederation's betrayal and the encroachment on our borders have left us no choice. We declare a state of war and call upon our allies to join us in this fight for our survival and autonomy. The Zinthar's declaration sent shockwaves throughout the Confederation. The threat of an all-out war with a formidable and reclusive faction heightened tensions and drew a clear line in the sand. The Confederation Council convened urgently to assess the situation and develop a response. Chancellor Tyler called for unity and resolve. The Zinthar's declaration of war is a grave development. We must come together as one to address this threat and protect the hard-won peace we have strived to achieve. Our response must be measured but resolute. Humanity's resolve. Humanity, caught in the crossfire of this galactic conflict, faced a critical juncture. President Delina Markov and General Harris, prepared to mobilize Earth's defenses and support the Confederation's efforts. The EDF ramped up its operations, positioning fleets and resources to counter any potential aggression from the Zinthar. President Markov emphasized the importance of solidarity. Our commitment to peace remains steadfast, but we must also be prepared for the reality of conflict. We will stand by our allies and ensure that humanity's strength and resolve are demonstrated on the galactic stage. The EDS Admiral Saren Locke coordinated with Confederation forces to establish joint defense strategies. The goal was to create a formidable deterrent against the Zinthar's aggression while maintaining the integrity of diplomatic channels. Admiral Locke stressed the importance of coordination. Our combined forces will provide a unified front against any aggression. We must be ready for all scenarios, from full-scale battle to diplomatic negotiations. Our unity and preparedness will be key to our success. The Vorten Collective Scheme. Amidst the chaos, the Vorten Collective seized the opportunity to escalate their covert operations. Agent Kira intensified her efforts to sow discord and disrupt the Confederation's response to the Zinthar threat. Her network executed a series of strategic sabotage operations, targeting key infrastructure and intelligence networks. Agent Kira orchestrated a coordinated attack on a major Confederation spaceport, disrupting critical supply lines and causing widespread confusion. The Zinthar's War Declaration provides the perfect cover for our operations. By undermining the Confederation's logistics and communication, we will exacerbate the instability and advance our agenda. The sabotage operations created a chaotic environment, further straining the Confederation's ability to respond effectively to the Zinthar's ultimatum. The Vorten Collective's actions added a layer of complexity to an already volatile situation. Chancellor Tyler condemned the attacks. The Vorten Collective's attempts to destabilize our efforts will not be tolerated. We will work tirelessly to restore order and ensure that their machinations do not succeed in derailing our efforts to maintain peace. The battle for the galaxy. With tensions escalating, the Confederation and the Zinthar prepared for a climactic confrontation. The galaxy's major factions braced for the impending conflict, with the outcome hanging in the balance. High Commander Salar mobilized the Zinthar's forces, rallying their allies and preparing for an offensive. The Zinthar's warships and fleets gathered at the borders of the Confederation's territory, ready for action. Chancellor Tyler and President Markov coordinated a defensive strategy, positioning their forces to respond to the Zinthar's aggression. The goal was to protect key installations and maintain the integrity of the Confederation's borders while seeking opportunities for diplomacy. As the two sides faced off, the galaxy held its breath. The outcome of the impending battle would determine the fate of the Confederation and the future of interstellar relations. A surprising turn. Just as the conflict seemed inevitable, a surprising development emerged. The Lorian Pact, which had recently aligned with the Confederation, proposed an audacious plan to mediate the crisis. Lord Alaran, representing the Pact, offered to facilitate a high-stakes negotiation between the Zinthar and the Confederation. Lord Alaran addressed the galaxy with a bold proposal. In the face of impending conflict, the Lorian Pact offers to mediate a direct negotiation between the Zinthar and the Confederation. We believe that dialogue and compromise can avert a disastrous war and pave the way for lasting peace. The proposal was met with mixed reactions. The Zinthar, though initially resistant, saw the potential benefits of negotiating a resolution. The Confederation, while skeptical, recognized the value of exploring diplomatic options. President Markov and Chancellor Tyler agreed to participate in the proposed negotiations. The goal was to explore every possible avenue to avoid an all-out war and to address the underlying issues that had fueled the conflict. The final negotiation. The negotiations, held in a neutral location chosen by the Lorien Pact, brought together representatives from the Confederation and the Zinthar. President Markov and High Commander Sailor faced each other across the negotiation table, with Lord Alaron facilitating the discussions. The talks were intense and fraught with tension, but both sides recognized the stakes. The Zinthar sought assurances of their sovereignty and recognition of their grievances, while the Confederation aimed to secure peace and maintain stability. President Markov presented a compromise proposal. We acknowledge the Zinthar's concerns and propose a series of confidence-building measures, including territorial adjustments and increased autonomy for the Zinthar. Our goal is to find common ground and ensure that peace prevails. High Commander Sailor responded with cautious optimism. The proposal is a step in the right direction. We must ensure that the terms are honored and that the Confederation's commitment to peace is genuine. Only then can we move forward without the shadow of war. Resolution and reflection. After intense negotiations, a historic agreement was reached. The Confederation and the Zinthar signed a treaty that addressed the Zinthar's grievances and established new mechanisms for conflict resolution and cooperation. Chancellor Tyler and High Commander Sailor signed the agreement in a ceremonial event attended by representatives from across the galaxy. The treaty marked a turning point in the galaxy's history, signaling a new era of cooperation and understanding. President Markov reflected on the significance of the resolution. This agreement represents the triumph of diplomacy over conflict. It is a testament to the strength of our commitment to peace and the resilience of our alliances. The journey ahead will require continued effort, but we have proven that even the most challenging conflicts can be resolved through dialogue and cooperation. The resolution of the crisis brought a renewed sense of hope and optimism to the galaxy. The Confederation and the Zinthar embarked on a new chapter of their relationship, with a focus on building trust and collaboration. As the galaxy returned to a state of cautious stability, the story of Those Who Run concluded with a message of resilience and the enduring power of diplomacy. The final confrontation had tested the galaxy's resolve, but the outcome reaffirmed the potential for peace and cooperation in even the most challenging circumstances. The galaxy watched as the next chapter of its history began to unfold, shaped by the lessons learned from the trials and triumphs of Those Who Run.